Hey guys, welcome to another Razer tutorial. This week we're gonna look into the macros that we can use in Razer, but not before I ask you to please like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out ADSRsounds.com. And then we're gonna jump straight into Razer. And the thing I want to talk about this week is these controls. And these are called the macros, and you can find them in Massive as well, in Camel Audio. Some other synthesizers offer them, and they are basically empty controls that allow you to control multiple knobs at the same time. And to show you the great use of that, I've got a little piece of music right here, and all this blue stuff is one sound in Razer, but I changed the sound with the macros to get a lot more sounds out of it. So those are all these sounds. And that is just one patch in Razer, and because Razer doesn't have a lot of modulation possibilities, it's very recommended to use these macro controls. But first I'm gonna just show you the patch so you can recreate it, and then we're gonna look into the macros. I'm gonna close them for now. In the first oscillator I have the formant oscillator type. And the formant oscillator is the only one that can mess with the phasing, the phase offset of the sound. And you can find it in the last slot right here, so maybe that makes it easier to remember that this one changes the phase offset of the sound. And since oscillator 1 and 2 are both using the same sine bank generator, and oscillator 1 is sort of the master oscillator, this one will sound different in each slot. So if you load it in oscillator 2, it will sound a little bit different than in oscillator 1, because oscillator 1 is the master, has the master phase offset. So you're gonna want to read the manual on that if you want to know more about that. But that is something to remember. Then for the second oscillator I choose the SIG pitch bend, and this creates sort of an artificial pitch bend, which is not really a pitch bend, but it changes the harmonics so that it sounds like a pitch bend. And the settings here for the formant, let's close this. The formant oscillator is set to 7, select is set to, was set to 13, and the amp is all the way up. And for the SIG pitch bend we have the pitch offset at 0 or 1, I think. Step size is around 2, and the amp is all the way up, and I've set the color a little bit up right here, and this is basically sort of working as an equalizer. It will make the higher harmonics louder when you turn it up, so it will get brighter. Then for filter 1 I have a low pass phaser, and this is just a low pass filter which with the phasing resonance. And then we have a multi-mode filter, and here we set the mode all the way. On the left it's going to be a low pass, I believe. In the middle it's a band pass, and on the right it's a high pass filter. And I have the metal effect, and the metal effect will sound very metal-like. It will stretch the harmonics, and it's great for metallic sounds. So this is the sound by itself. And I've done a few modulations. First, I think envelope 3 here is not used, so oscillator 1 is just clean, oscillator 2 as well. On the low pass phaser I've set the aftertouch to the cutoff with an amount of 74. So that means when I press my key harder, it's gonna open the cutoff a little bit more. Then I have envelope 3 on there, also with a small amount, somewhere around 25. And I have envelope 2 on there with let's say an amount of 12, 13, more, 30. Let's go for 30. Oh, and you should turn the barber off when you load this low pass phaser, because that's sort of gonna automate, and we don't want that movement. We want to do that ourselves. For the multimode filter, also the aftertouch on the cutoff somewhere around 33, 35, and envelope 3 on the cutoff with the maximum amount. And then we use LFO1 on the mode here, very subtly with an amount of 6. And envelope 3 is on the amount of the metal filter with, let's see, 25. And that should do it. Just turn on the reverb. I chose the resonant reverb, make it look like this, and I've turned on the safe bass, and I transpose the sound down 3 octaves. I think that's it. And then we get to the envelopes. We use envelope 3, this one here, has a very short decay at the moment. It's set to echo. We use envelope 2. It looks like this, pretty initial. And LFO1 and LFO2 are both synced to beat. LFO1 is set to 2 and LFO2 as well. The first having a sine wave and the second a saw. So then we can get into the macros, and when you open up the macros you see that they already have names, and that is because they are sort of hardwired to work with a couple of modules. So if we click on oscillator 1, we can now see these modulation slots appear, and when I click on filter 2 they will disappear. So that means that for this macro we can control everything that has this very light gray circle beneath it. So we can also control oscillator 2 with the oscillator 1 macro. And to do that you select the macro and then you drag, and now this one will control the parameter. And I already did this for a lot of parameters. For example, the select. You can try the formant as well. And this is great because now you can use you can sort of twist 2 knobs at the same time. Then we go to oscillator 2, and I assign that to the pitch offset. And then we go to filter 1. This one is doing quite a lot. It turns the cutoff down and the cycles up. Pretty nice. And then filter 2 is I think doing the same for filter 2, but then the other way around. So we'll turn the cutoff up and the resonance down, and the stretch also down. We can also try to mess with the mode a little bit with this macro. So now we're controlling 4 parameters at the same time. Okay, then we get to the effects. I think this one is set to the metal amount. Just when you want to go really extreme. Then effects 2. I could have used it on the reverb, but I used it on the quantize, I think. Yeah, but that's not working if the amount is not up. So I might as well click this one and delete this modulation and set this one to the quantize as well. So now it's turning up the amount and the quantize at the same time, and you can see that FX2 macro is grayed out, so we don't use that one. Alright, then mod 1 and 2, these are pretty cool, I think. When you click them you can see these bars here beneath the envelope, and that means that you can alter the attack, decay, sustain, release, and even the velocity for each envelope. And I did this for envelope 3, and I control the decay time with a macro, and envelope 3 was on, if we close this now for a second, we can see that envelope 3 is on the cutoff here, it's on the other cutoff, and it's on the metal amount. So changing the decay should change quite a lot of the sound. Let's try that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And as you can see, the echo is lit, and this means that it's listening to this echo delay, which is an artificial delay, and that is why it's repeating. And we can make it faster or slower. I'm gonna play a little bit lower. And now we have a great variety of sounds with just these macros. And let's see, mod 2 is at the LFO speed, so we can try that too. Yeah, that is not that exciting because LFO 1 is barely used. So I think what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna delete this assignment by double clicking. Now this macro is grayed out as well, and I'm gonna set this to the echo delay time, and then turn the delay all the way down, and now we can control it with this macro. First we have to set the decay a little bit up. Oh, I like this sound. Yeah, but that's basically, sorry, it's easy to get carried away. That was all I wanted to show you, and see you next week for a new tutorial. Thanks for watching.